If you are on and you can just say hi or let us know that you're here, that would be awesome. So we make sure that we did this right. It's our first time using YouTube Live, so just give us a smiley face or say hi. Hi, Haley. We'll just give people a few more minutes. Oh no, I'm echoing. Hi, Patricia. Am I echoing for you too? It might just be my house. Wait, it's just me. That'll do it, Haley. That'll do it. Okay, cool. Okay. We will give it a few more minutes. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to be on here. Ashley, just so you know, the chat is on YouTube. It's not on the Google Hangouts thing. So if you want to see it, you have to open the YouTube as well.
Okay, let me try this.
Okay, let's see. All right, we'll wait about one more minute and then we will go ahead and get started. We definitely value your time and don't want to take up too much of it. Hi there. Definitely value. Okay, Ashley, should we get started?
Yes.
Okay, everyone, hi, my name is Sarah. I'm really excited to be on this call today. I have been a coach for a little less than a year, so I definitely have a lot of room for improvement, but I've been working really hard on growing my Instagram with the help of my friend Ashley. And so we're just going to share some tips and tricks that we've learned to help grow our Instagrams. Just a little bit about me. I am 27. I live in Southern California. My husband and I are moving to Dallas in April. So if anyone lives in Dallas, definitely please be my friend. And I basically got into coaching as a way to get in shape before we start having kids. And so this is just, it's just been a great journey and love all the teammates and everything. And Ashley, let me flip it over to you. Okay, go ahead, Ashley.
All right. Hi, all. My name is Ashley, and I have been a coach for, I think, a little over 6 months now. I haven't been as active as I wanted to be. I had kind of a lot of personal stuff this summer, so I'm just now kind of getting back into it. Anyway, I live in Virginia. I've been married to my husband for about 2 years now. We've been together almost 10. And my previous job before I started coaching, I was a marketing manager, social media specialist. So that's kind of where I started figuring out a lot of the stuff to do with Instagram. So that's kind of the background and how I got started into figuring out the algorithms and things like that.
Okay, so basically what we thought today is Ashley has kind of been my teacher and I've just been like her student applying it all. So I will kind of share some of the things that I've done and then she's going to kind of give you the science and the reasons behind why what we're doing is working. So a few months ago, I went to Ashley and I just basically said, look at my Instagram account and tell me what I'm doing wrong. And she basically laughed and was like, when did you download Instagram? And I told her, a few years ago when it came out, and she was like, Because it looks like you just got it yesterday and you're just trying to use all of the filters and like
I did say it a little bit nicer than that.
That's basically exactly how she said it. But anyway, so she was like, you need to have a consistent theme. You need to make it look, you need your posts to all look like they have a theme. And this was probably 6 months ago that she told me that, and I have only recently just started to understand what she meant. So that's going to be different for everyone. Exactly, how you want your posts to look similar. It's going to be different for everyone. For me, I have started to use the same filter in Rona Designs for every post. I make each post have a little white border on the sides, and I put a white mask on it in Rona, and then I, try to do it in around the same percentage for each post. The other thing that you want to do is, like, for example, my house has horrible lighting. It's so bad. So you have to find spots in your house that are going to be brighter and, just to make your photos look better. Sometimes it's just unavoidable and my photos are grainy and I just kind of deal with it. But Ashley's really good about making her photos look really high definition. But so that's like basic 101 is just finding a way to make your photos look similar. Actually, you can kind of build on that.
Yeah, so one of the first things you want to do with Instagram, and this is probably true with any social media, is you want to clean up your account. And kind of what I mean by that is, like what Sarah was saying, is you want to have a consistent look and feel across all your stuff. So not even just Instagram. When somebody goes, as coaches, when somebody goes to your Instagram, to one of your other social media pages, you want the look and feel to be really consistent. And that has to do with kind of creating your brand, your image, that sort of stuff. I'm kind of getting really broad here, but you want to make sure that all your photos look really consistent. So there's no question when someone goes to one of your, like I said, your social media pages, they know it's you. Start with Instagram or Facebook, whatever your bread and butter is. Mine happens to be Instagram. So cleaning up your account, making your photos appealing. People tend to like bright, light photos. They tend to get the most comments, the most action, things like that. One of the other really important things you need to do to your Instagram account when you start cleaning it up is to go into the people you are following and get rid of dead accounts. So if you're following people who have not posted in a while, I'm going to go into this further, but this has to do with the algorithm and what Instagram calls your goodness score. And that is a technical term from Instagram. Every account is assigned. I don't know how they assign it, but all the algorithm factor into it. Basically, your goodness score has to do with how many people are going to see your photos that you post. Right now, if you have a decent goodness score, and there's actually not, I don't know the numbers that are attached to this. They just have that term, goodness score. So when you are active and you have a good goodness score on Instagram, only about 20% of your photos are seen. And that is pretty much as you can be seen. So clean up your account. Get rid of dead accounts, and you will bump up your goodness score. That's one of the easiest ways to do that. Trying to think. So go into your followers, and if they haven't posted in, I usually give them about 2 weeks. If they haven't posted something, I'll unfollow them. Or people even, okay, I take this is my business, so even if it's friends and family and they haven't posted, I unfollow them. It affects my goodness score, and it affects the stuff that I'm posting. So
yeah. Actually, when you say that only 20% of your photos are seen, and that's if you have a good goodness score, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you're really active and you're getting good engagement and good comments and stuff like that, that means your goodness score is probably pretty good. And I'll go into some other things that affect that as well. I hope I'm making sense. If you have questions, please comment. I know this can be super confusing, and I can get rambly.
So I know that some people, a lot of things say, you know, post 3 times a day, right? And so if only 20% of your photos are being seen, then you're really not being seen very often. So how, I know you told me when I was first starting out that you really want to be posting more like 5, 6, you know, as many times a day as you can.
Yeah, you want to be posting 5 to 8 times a day. That seems excessive, but if you think about it, only 20% of your photos, your posts are being seen. That's actually the same as Facebook. So a lot of these things, because Instagram is owned by Facebook, a lot of these things apply to both. So you can apply a lot of this stuff to your Facebook page as well. It depends. No, Jordy, I probably wouldn't unfollow somebody who I've had a conversation with coaching. In 2 weeks, maybe give them a little bit longer.
I would say give it a month. Sometimes people go on trips, things like that.
Yeah, sometimes people go on trips. This is for the people who, you know, you're following. I know we've had some other girls on our team who they cleaned up their accounts when I told them to do this, and they got rid of hundreds of like dead accounts that hadn't posted in months. So you really, I'm always constantly curating who I'm following. In fact, this morning I think I got rid of like 200 people because they hadn't posted in a while. Wait, okay, question. Do we need to get rid of people that we follow that don't post, but if they follow me and are not posters, they can still follow me, right? Yeah, so you don't need to follow those people. If they're not active, it really does affect how Instagram views your goodness score. So if they're not posting and they're not interacting with your account, get rid of them. Yeah, I wouldn't follow them. They can still follow you. That's the thing. So when they ever do become active, if they're still following you, they'll still see your posts. But if they're not, yeah, get rid of them. I wouldn't follow them. 10 of dead accounts. I know I need to go and clean up mine. Yeah, that's actually one of the first really big things. So clean up your account, pictures, get rid of people who you're following. Yeah, so that's probably the first thing. Sarah, did you have anything else you wanted to kind of say about that? I know you've done some of that.
No, I definitely getting rid of, you know, dead accounts. I think I'm constantly going into people who I follow and going through because, and we're going to touch on this a little bit later, but one thing that Ashley and I do to really cultivate a big following is we do massive follow unfollow. And we're going to talk about this later, but a lot of times when I'm doing massive following, I have to go back and unfollow pretty quickly some of the accounts I followed who I notice are spam or, you know, It Works people or Herbalife people or whatever. I want to go through and, you know, take them out as quickly as possible. So I'm constantly looking at who I follow and fixing that, but definitely have had to unfollow some friends and family who basically just use it to look at other people's. Like, it's okay to unfollow them. They can still see my stuff. So
yeah, 100%, especially if those people are not posting, and especially if they're not interactive with your account, unfollow them. And there's a really good app. Let me pull it up. In fact, Sarah, you gave me this one, I think. Do this. Yeah, it's called Followers Plus. And you can see who's followed you, who's unfollowed you, who's ghost accounts. Those are people who haven't posted in a while, have never interacted with your page. It's also good on some of those ghost accounts, if they're especially like super random people who I don't even want following me, I will actually block them. Because if you have a lot of ghost accounts, that actually goes against your goodness score as well. So if you have people who are following you who are not interacting with you, I will sometimes block those people, especially if they're sketch. I don't, you know, creepy guys, that sort of stuff, block them, get rid of them. It's your account. So I don't have anybody who's following me, or I try not to, who I wouldn't want to see my stuff. But yeah, if they've never really interacted with your account, that app called Followers Plus is really good to help you kind of get rid of some of that dead weight. It just makes it a little easier, and you can immediately see if they're active or not. So
we can post a picture of it in the group, because I downloaded the wrong one at first, because there's a few that look the same. So we can kind of post what it looks like in the group and kind of how to use it. So Kelly asked a really good question, and I think we're going to kind of get into that when we talk about finding our niche and hashtags and all of that.
Yeah. Kelly, so to get good followers, one of the things you really want to make sure that you do is create your niche. So probably for a lot of us, it's going to be fitness. I don't have kids, so fitness, my husband, that sort of stuff, fitness and home life, that sort of stuff, is probably mostly my niche. This gets a little tricky. When you start going outside of your niche in Instagram, you lower your goodness score. And I guess what I mean by that is, say, Sarah, you have the same way, you don't have kids, and then all of a sudden you maybe post a picture of a baby or something totally random, you actually lower your goodness score for a little bit. And I know that kind of stinks as Beachbody coaches, but this talk is more about how to get more followers, and this is how you do it. So you really need to stick to your niche, whatever it is. Don't be posting stuff that's outside of your niche. Don't post random stuff. And then to go along with that.
Wait, can I ask a question really quick? So, okay, now Instagram has Instagram stories. So, you know, obviously as Beachbody coaches, we don't want to only be posting about fitness, because that just doesn't share about our lives. So if we use the actual picture posting for, you know, our health and fitness and whatever, but then use Instagram stories to show the rest of our lives, does that affect the goodness score?
I don't believe it does. Instagram stories is too new, but I don't think it has any effect on the algorithms or anything like that. As far as I know, they could change it. There's been some changes in the last couple of weeks to the algorithm.
So that's a good way to
to expand on your life. So yeah, Sarah, that's a really good way. And I'm not saying you only have to post health and fitness stuff. If you mostly post about your kids and then some health and fitness stuff, your niche is probably more family in Instagram's eyes. So you need to be posting about that. Don't just switch it up and post. I'm trying to think of like something totally random that you could post that would make no sense in the algorithm.
Okay, well, so a question. So like I always post about my dogs and fitness. And then randomly, so let's say my friend has a baby and I post a picture holding the baby and I'm all of a sudden like, baby fever. So then is that, like, does that hurt me?
It does a little bit. And that's not to say you don't do it, but just know that whenever you make a change to your Instagram account, you affect that goodness score. So if you are actively trying to grow your following, then you need to stick to your niche. And whatever your niche is, and that's where you have to decide what that is. But you can't just post like outfit of the day, a workout, pictures of kids, then your food. I mean that, and then you're traveling. That's no niche. That's like everything. And Instagram does not like that.
Okay, so here's another question. So I was coming up with my 30 hashtags to use on most of my posts or whatever, and I was trying to make them not all fitnessy. So I made some of them, you know, dog mom or bookworm or, you know, whatever the thing is. But if the photo is not of those things, does that hurt?
This is the other thing I was going to go into, and how hashtags. First, I'm going to say, if you are not using hashtags, you're wasting Instagram. You need to be using hashtags.
30.
You need to be using 20 to 30 hashtags. I try and use all 30. It's a waste of your photo if you're not. So if you're not using hashtags, you have to be using hashtags. That is a way for people to search for you. It's basically free advertising. Are we going into hashtags right now? Because I could go into this whole long thing. What was your question again, Sarah? Oh.
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, you talked about, we were going to talk about our niche market and then go into hashtags. So I think that's fine.
Okay, well, your question was, yes, hashtags affect you. Let me answer your question. So if you post a picture and it's of a dog and you put fitness something, that goes against the goodness score. Your hashtags have to be related to that photo. You can't post a picture of a flower and put Nikes because it's a popular hashtag. That will lower your goodness score. So it needs to be picture specific.
I'm so guilty of that. I just copy and paste.
I've done the same thing. I do copy and paste, and I just realized I had done a green juice the other day, and I had added that to my hashtags, and that went in some of my fitness stuff this morning.
I didn't need that, actually.
Yeah, you need to be aware of it. That goes against your goodness score, so that can lower who sees your images. Okay, so let's discuss hashtags. If you're not using hashtags, you need to get on using hashtags. Haley, yes and no to changing your hashtags every time. Let me go over what the goal of the hashtag is besides the free advertising. The point of the hashtag, I don't know if you've ever gone into a hashtag and you see the 9 photos at the top of the hashtag. That's like the, what is it called? Top hashtags. It's like top 9. Yeah. The point of using hashtags is to get into those top 9. That means if you are using a hashtag that is too big for your account, someone throw out a number on how many people. Sarah, you have 1750 or something. No, you're at 19 now. Okay, so that's still in the same range. She's considered a smaller account. I have about 7,050. I'm considered on the smaller side too. So I would not, and Sarah would definitely not use a hashtag that has 1 million photos. Out for pretty much everybody. What happens when you use that hashtag is it gets bumped so far down and so quickly, nobody has a chance to see your photos if they're searching that hashtag. And so you definitely will not get into the top 9.
Yeah.
Would you?
So like hashtag fitness, that's just, it doesn't make any sense.
Hashtag fitness is a waste. And the other thing I'm going to say is Beachbody coaches, if you are using a Beachbody hashtag, stop. If you are using a girl boss hashtag, stop. People don't care. People aren't searching for that. We as Beachbody coaches care, and we think it's cool and cute and catchy and things like that, but nobody else is searching those hashtags to find you. So don't hashtag 21 Day Fix, don't hashtag Hammer and Chisel, don't hashtag Beachbody, don't hashtag Shakeology. Don't ever use those hashtags. It's pointless. It's a waste. So as far, okay, so you want to use hashtags that fit the size of your account. You have to actually sit down and research the hashtags. And what do I mean by that? I mean that start with your list of your hashtags that you normally use. Search for those in Instagram. If they turn up and it's like 1 million, even if you have a smaller account, Sarah, it's a stretch for you to get into ones that are like 600,000 at this point. You're doing really well and you want to have a couple stretches, but you want to stick with hashtags that you can get into those top 9 photos. And this will actually boost your goodness score. If you are in the top 9 photos, then your goodness score goes up, meaning more people will see and interact and engage with your images, meaning you will get more followers, meaning then you can compete in larger hashtags, and you kind of snowballs and you get it going. Sarah, I know you've really worked with that. What have you done? You've sat down and like researched your
basically what I do is I'll use hashtags. I mean, part of it is trial and error, honestly. I'll use
100%.
hashtags, and then, so let's say I'll use like the hashtags I used this morning. Tonight when I'm watching TV, I'll go through and I'll click through each of them and I'll see, okay, which ones have I, made it to the top 9, which ones have I not? And then the ones that I don't make it into, those are the ones that I change and, swap out for other ones. And definitely I have been doing copy and paste on hashtags, and I definitely need to be changing up some of them. But the other thing too is what we do is for your photos to make it into the top 9, it's all based on interaction with your photo. So your photo needs to have likes and it needs to have comments, because even if you have a great photo, if it doesn't have likes or comments, it doesn't do any good. So Ashley, you can talk more about this, but Ashley and I have like a little thing where if we see that one another post something, we just make a point to be like, oh, Ashley posted something, I'm going to comment on it. And then any comment. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really good point. Let me answer Allie's question about the 30 relevant hashtags. So this is where it takes time to research. So I started Beachbody. I was into some other fitness. I don't Tone It Up. A lot of my hashtags, I still use Tone It Up because they're relevant to my account and they're relevant to fitness. And they get seen. So if I was doing, I'm just going to use this example, TIU, which is the shortened for Tone It Up, and let's say I don't have my computer in front of me, so I can't look it up. Say that's like 1 million followers. Then the next thing I would do to make it smaller is I might type in Tone It Up Girl or Tone It Up Meal. If Tone It Up Meal is still too big for my account, I will then try Tone It Up Meals with an S. So you really, and that should actually lower how many people use that. So say you're having lean, clean, and green, you might try lean, clean, and green meals, or gosh, I'm blanking on some, but you really just have to sit down, and you don't have to do a ton of changing to the current hashtags you're using. Try adding an S, try clean dinner, clean dinners, clean meals with an S, things like that. Does that answer it, Allie? I hope that does.
So, well, part of the thing too is that like the hashtags you use are going to have to be for your niche within the photo. So like some of the ones that I've had a lot of success with are around being a teacher. So, teachers follow teachers, Tone It Up teachers, Tone It Up teacher. It's kind of just trial and error within the ones that have to do with you. But what you can also do is you can just go on Instagram, look at other coaches who maybe have similar niche markets, look at the hashtags they're using, look at where they're at in the top 9, and then use that to kind of base yours on as well.
Yeah, 100%. Kelly, so an example of one that is too popular, fitness. Don't use fitness, don't use running, don't use Nike, don't use one-word things. Those are way too big, things like that. So if it's a fitness one, maybe say you're working out, Monday morning workout, things like that. So you really just need to get creative and get specific. And I'm going to go back and answer Haley's question, because now that I've explained a little more about the hashtags, she asked if you should change up the hashtags every time. This is where I even need to get better at doing this. Mm-hmm. When you are in the top 9 posts, when you get to where you are actively getting into the top 9 posts, you will typically not get 2 photos in the top 9 posts. If you get 2 photos in the top 9 posts, you are using a hashtag that is too small for your account. What happens when
it's really good, because I have recently started like taking over multiple hashtags. Like it's
they're too small. You need to move to a bigger hashtag, and this is good because you're building your account, that you're building your goodness score. So you need to move up to a bigger account. So if you have a hashtag that you know you barely reached into it, you don't want to, and you have another post coming up, but you're in the top 9, you don't want that new post to knock you out of the top 9. Because you're probably only going to get 1 in the top 9. So you want to vary it just a little so you're in multiple top 9s. Does that make sense? Okay, yeah. That makes sense, Sarah. So yeah, that does that answer it, Haley? So yes and no, you don't have to change it every time, but if you are constantly hitting the top 9 of your hashtags, you might want to have like 3 different like ones laid out. So yeah, 90 hashtags. It takes time. Do some research.
So like if you did Tone It Up postpartum and you're like in like the 8th one and you're doing another post, you do like Tone It Up postpartum journey or something.
Yeah, exactly. So just vary it a little bit. Yeah. Because that's I think you can stay in, I think, a top 9. The average is about 2 days, I think, which is amazing. That's where you want to be. If it's a super big hashtag and you barely made it into the top 9, you're not going to stay there for that long, but it's still really good that you made it into there that long. So yeah, that's kind of your hashtag strategy. Do you post from your laptop instead of posting your phone? No, I don't post from my laptop. I do it from my phone. I have the hashtags kind of typed out into my notes section on my phone, and then immediately, as soon as I post it, I go in and copy and paste those hashtags, actually before I do it, because you can actually write it out and not hit post, and then I'll close it out and go to my notes and copy and paste those, and then as soon as I hit post to my post, I will, in the first comment, I will do the 30 hashtags. I will post probably 1 or 2 in the main comment section, and then the rest go into the first comment. I think it looks spammy if you do all 30 of them in the original post. Don't do that. Put it in the first comment. But I will say with that, it needs to be done immediately. Do not wait. You can't come back 5 minutes later and post those hashtags. Hashtags need to be up as soon as you post, because a while back Instagram changed the algorithm, so pictures are done in the time they were posted. They show up if you search a hashtag. So if you wait 10 minutes, then you're going to be bumped to where that time slot was like 10 minutes ago. Those hashtags won't immediately put you as the first photo. Does that make sense?
Yes. And also, Becky, all you have to do is click on a hashtag. And when you go to that hashtag, there's going to be 9 photos at the top that they say are the top. And then the feed will follow below. So you can just find it really easily that way.
Yeah. Okay. So that's probably, I've got notes, so let me just make sure I've gone over everything with the hashtags. Yeah, so that's probably the main strategy with hashtags. Now, Sarah had mentioned, before I changed back to the hashtags, about getting comments on the photos. So, likes are great on a photo, but what has more weight in the algorithm are comments. So if you can get a couple of friends, and however you want to set this up, so you can notify them when you do an Instagram post, if you can get a couple of friends to immediately comment on your photo, that is brilliant, and that you should really do. That bumps you up into the goodness score, and that will get you into the top 9, even if your likes aren't that great. So the other thing is, if you can get a couple of comments, you need to reply, or not even a couple of comments, you need to reply to every single comment you get individually. Don't mass reply to people, because Instagram takes into account any comment, even from you. So every comment you get and that is under your post is bumping up your goodness score, even if you leave the comment. So that's another reason to put the hashtags in the comment. Don't put it in the main body. You're already giving yourself a little boost.
Ashley, and one thing that changed, didn't this just recently change, but they are now looking at how long the hashtag or the comments are.
Yeah. So this was a change in the last like week and a half. Comments need to be more than 3 words. If it's 1 word, it will not bump you up in the goodness score. 2 words will not bump you up. Same with an emoji. Yep, not good. You can, I don't know if replying, I do reply with an emoji sometimes, but I'll do 3 emojis. I think that still counts. As far as I know, that still counts. Doesn't mean it'll count next week, and it doesn't mean it'll count, you know. It's counting now as far as I know, but it needs to be 3 words or at least 3 emojis to actually count and bump up the goodness score. So whenever you get, or if you can get a group of ladies or friends to comment on your photos immediately, you'll bump up your goodness score.
And just like a side note, this is the same with Facebook. So yeah. We're talking about it specifically for Instagram, but it's the same exact rules on Facebook. The more you get comments, the more the more interaction you get with your post, the more it's going to be seen. So
yeah, exactly. So like every comment and then reply to every comment on Facebook. As far as I know, the algorithm's exactly the same for that. So yeah, I can't remember what else I was going to say about comments. I had something else to say about comments.
So you want to reply to every comment.
Oh, so you really want to get 5 comments up there pretty immediately, and I mean that in the first couple of minutes. When you do that, that's what really bumps you up in the goodness score points. However, when I say that, you can actually still, and I've seen this happen. I did it with Sarah the other day, and I was like, dang it, I should have taken a picture. So I was the 9th photo in the top 9 photos. I went and replied to every single person I had who had left a comment, and I went back and looked at that hashtag, and my photo had moved up. So they're actually chronological. So they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you can see if you're the 9th photo, and I bumped myself up. I think it was like 2 spots. So that means that even if a couple other people had good photos, I could still be in there and hopefully not get bumped out of the top 9. So just by replying, I bumped up my goodness score and I bumped up myself in the top 9. So that was kind of cool to actually see it. It was literally like minutes later. So it really works that fast. So do it, reply to every single comment with at least 3 words and you will bump yourself.
I would say, like, for me, so Ashley and I have been really good about commenting on each other's stuff, and the past couple of months or so, that's when I've really started getting into the top 9, is when I make a point to, I'll even say like, hey, can you guys comment on my photo, or whatever. I'll ask Ashley like, hey, can you comment on this? I just posted it or whatever, and then I'll make sure I reply. And it's a little time consuming, it's a little tedious, but it makes it so that I have something to respond to. And then, that's an extra 2 comments on the photo. So it really does work.
Yep. And then if you're like you said, where I had said earlier, if you're putting your comments in, then you have 3 comments almost immediately. And you really just need 5 to actually, I think, bump you up like 1 or 2 points. Comments are just weighted a lot heavier than likes. So if you've got friends, comment, and hopefully they'll comment back for you. Or make them comment back. Just be like, go comment on my stuff. So Kelly, I'm going to say this. Do not use a service to schedule your posts. If you use, this is Facebook and Instagram. If you use a third-party service to schedule your post, the algorithms on both services do not like that. They will not get the interaction and they will not get the engagement. Don't use a third-party app. Don't schedule your post. It's a pain in the butt, but you have to do each post on each specific site. So don't use Instagram and to schedule to other stuff. I have been doing that lately, but actually it's better to copy and paste exactly what you put on Instagram and then copy and paste it directly to Facebook. When you use Instagram to even post your stuff to Facebook, you lower your engagement. It messes with the algorithms. They just don't like that. Don't use Hootsuite. I will use Hootsuite in some of our private groups, mainly because that has nothing to do with an algorithm, and that is time management for me. But I will not use Hootsuite or any scheduling app to post to my like pages or Instagram. Don't do it at all.
Also, I don't know if we answered a question, but someone had a really good question earlier about how you find quality people to follow that aren't spammy accounts. And it's honestly, for me, it's just time consuming, but what I'll do is I'll find people who I already follow and know and like, and then I'll just go into their followers and or I'll look at people, the people who've liked their photos. So especially if it's like a fitness photo, I'll look at people who are liking it or commenting on it. I'll go to them and then, go from there.
Yeah. So interacting with other accounts in your niche is really, really important to the algorithm. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by the questions. So if you're not interacting and you're just posting to your page, your goodness score goes down. When you go out and you this is niche specific, so we talked about really establishing that your niche. When you interact with other accounts in your niche, and a lot of us is going to be fitness stuff, when you interact, you also bump up your goodness score. And you're also going to get more followers, because if you're interacting with those other accounts by liking, commenting, following, things like that, you're going to bump up yourself in the goodness score, and you're going to get more followers just from that, let alone bumping up your goodness score.
For me, unless it's to answer Allie's question, and Ashley can give the scientific answer, but for me, if it's like, I'll use the followers app to unfollow people who aren't following me, because if it's a stranger and I'm following them with the hope that they'll follow me and they don't follow me back, then I'm just going to unfollow them. I mean, obviously some of the bigger accounts, of top coaches who I like to see what they're doing, I'll follow them and obviously don't expect them to follow me back. But typically, if it's somebody who's not following me, I unfollow them.
Yeah, 100%.
Down.
Unfollow them. You have to think of it as, if you're actually serious about this and growing your business from Instagram, you have to be kind of, not brutal, but you have to do it. It's a business. You just have to do it and unfollow people.
I want to say though, if you do download the app that I'm talking about, it also tells you the people who unfollow you, and you will have friends in there, and you will have family members, and it will feel like a little bit of a face, and you kind of just have to grow a thick skin and say whatever, I don't care. You don't have to look at my ab photos if you don't want to. But yeah, so you will see people who decide to unfollow you.
Yeah, and Allie, so I usually give about 48 hours. I don't even give a week. So yeah, and that's not true for everybody, because when I go and do my power hour and it's someone who I like, oh, they could be like really cute and like join my team, stuff like that, I will continue to follow them and try and get something. So if you're doing, like Sarah had touched on earlier, one of the other ways to get a lot of followers, and you have probably seen a lot of big accounts do this, is the follow-unfollow method. You can do this a lot of different ways. Sarah does it manually, meaning I'll let you say how to do it, Sarah.
Okay, well, so we wanted to talk to you guys about, basically, we have different viewpoints on this, and neither of them is wrong. They're both totally fine. I'm sure you guys have heard of Instagress. I personally choose not to use it. I set it up and I've tried it a few times. I'm kind of a control freak, so I like to be in control of exactly who I'm following, who I'm liking, all of that. Also, I don't have kids. I'm not working another job right now. I have the time to focus on it, so it's not a big deal for me. But basically what I do is I go through, find a big account, and I will just follow, 100 people or whatever, give it an hour, go through, do it again, and I will just keep doing this all day. And then, at some point in the next 2 days or so, I'll go back and I'll unfollow all of them unless there's somebody that like really calls out to me. But this is really where my numbers have come from. I think, I don't know if you saw it in the comments that led to this whole thing. I became a coach about a year ago. I started with 200 Instagram followers. And as of 2 days ago, I was up to 1,750, and today I'm at 1,900. And so this is massive amounts of growth, and these are real accounts. And for me personally, and this is probably user error in how I set up Instagress, but when I was using that to do it, I felt like I was getting a lot of It Works people. I felt like I was getting a lot of Herbalife people, and even when I put in blocks against those accounts, they'd still seep in. So I feel like when I'm doing it personally, I can just make sure that there's less of that. And if you are going to use Instagress, and Ashley will talk to you about how to use it properly. But I mean, I think we've all seen the posts from people who just have these like word vomit comments of like, hey, are you a coach? Want to work together? Or, and it's just like, oh, like, why are you doing that? It makes us all look so bad. And that's not to say that you can't use Instagress well. I just prefer to not even go there. I just do it manually. But yeah, massive following, massive unfollowing.
Yeah, so I do use Instagress. I actually do both. I do it manually and I'll do Instagress. So the thing with Instagress is you have to set it up properly. And yes, some It Works people will pop through, things like that. But if you set it up and you're really specific with how you set it up, you can get a really good kind of follow back rate with not having to be attached to your phone all day. Some of my sales lately have been from that, and also coaches. So it does work. It just depends whether you want to be more in control with it or not. But you can set it up where you can block a lot of that stuff. This is where I get a lot of like spammy guys, and I'll immediately go in and block them. I don't deal with that. They're not following me. I don't want them. I don't care how that affects my numbers. It doesn't matter. I don't want them following. It's my account. So if you don't like somebody, don't worry about it. If you get a bad vibe, just block them, get rid of them. So I will say that. Yes, you can set up Instagress correctly, but also at the same time, I will go in and unfollow people manually. Now, to do a follow unfollow, or to be really active, if you're going to go and hop on your Instagram in an hour and you are not super active on Instagram, you don't want to be just doing a massive follow unfollow. You will get put in Instagram timeout. So you need to start slowly warming up your account. That means if you're not super active on Instagram right now, you need to go in, and if you want to start the follow unfollow, maybe follow 20 people. Sarah said she follows 100. I think
I worked up to that. I definitely worked up to that, for sure.
Exactly. You have to warm up your account, or you're going to be put in Instagram jail. So start with 20. And a good way to do it is maybe go into an account you like, if you don't want to use Instagram, and follow 20 of their followers if you like them. Do that on the hour every hour. And then wait 48 hours and then go back in and unfollow them. And you can continually do this and slowly add more and more people you follow and unfollow. And this actually helps your goodness score as well, because you're interacting with people in your niche. So, Becky.
Just really quick, one more thing. Okay. So let's say you're in that 48-hour period where you followed, 500 people over the course of a day, and now you're following, 1,000 people. You need to make sure that you're interacting with those people, because if you are following 1,000 people and you're just going through and only liking your friends or whatever, that affects you negatively. So you want to make sure that, even if it's more than usual and you feel like your feed is just bogged down with all these people, you have to interact with them, or it doesn't do you any good. And so that's probably where Instagram is nice, because you can set it to like people's photos, you can set it to comment on people's photos. So I just, as someone who does it manually, I have to make sure that I'm going through and I'm continually interacting with posts as they come in.
Yeah, 100%. You have got to be interacting with those people. Like I said, again, it's going to boost your goodness score, and that's ultimately what we want. We want to get into the top 9 posts. And the other thing, the higher your goodness score, I don't know if y'all have seen it, but when you go and you follow somebody and you end up following them and you see suggested posts, the higher your goodness score in that nation, this is why it's important to really be working within your niche and figure that out. It's because you ultimately want to get into those as well. And if you're posting random stuff all the time, you're never going to be in someone's suggested followers, because Instagram doesn't know where to put you, because you're posting random stuff, you're using random hashtags, all that stuff. So I hope that makes sense. And Becky, if you are using a hashtag with only a few posts, don't use it. It's a waste. So sorry it took so long to answer that question.
I would, if you have a couple, if you're a small account like me or whatever, a couple thousand posts on it is good.
A couple thousand, yeah. You always want to have some where you're comfortable, where you know you're going to get into the top 9, and then you really want to have some that are kind of a stretch. I've gotten into some of my stretches because I've had a ton of comments on them, which is amazing. I've gotten into some that are in the millions. I was like, there's no way I'm getting in that, but I'm going to use it.
Yeah.
And then that post ended up having a ton of comments. And if you can ask questions to people who are commenting, that's really good, because you're just going to bump up your post even more. So the other thing I want to talk about after you start following and unfollowing, and you are growing your account, and Sarah kind of touched on this, and you are not active and using good hashtags. Sorry, what was I'm lost what I was going to say. Okay, so totally lost what I was going to say. I'm sorry, guys.
Overload.
Okay, yeah, Instagram overload right now. Okay, so let's talk about, I guess this is where I was trying to go, but I didn't quite lead into it. So your engagement rate. Sarah and I were talking about this earlier. She wanted to know, if she has 1,700 followers, what is a good engagement rate? And by engagement rate, we'll talk about likes specifically. If you have, she's about 19. I keep saying 17 because you just were like there yesterday. But she's at 1,900 now. She really, it's good for her to get like 120 likes on a post. That is a good engagement rate for her size of her account. So I took some time off this summer for personal reasons, and I did not post on Instagram for nearly 2 months. That killed my engagement rate. I am still building that up. I have about a little over 7,000 followers, and my engagement rate is not where it should be. It takes time to build that up. I should probably have 300 to 400 likes on a photo, and some of mine now are just getting to where some might have 3, and some right under 3, and some are still in the 150, 180. That's not good for my size of my account. So what I'm working on, instead of trying to gain so many followers, because the bigger your account gets, it's harder to get that engagement rate up. So you really want to be actively working on your engagement rate, and that means all the stuff that we've talked about. That means you're engaging with other accounts in your niche. All that back and forth will bring people into your account and get them to like your stuff and engage on it. So that's really, really, really important. More important than the follower count, in my opinion. Yeah, Allie, if anybody has any questions, just...
We've pretty much hit through everything we wanted to talk about. We were going to just touch really quickly on a personal account versus a business account. And then everyone definitely asked questions, because then we're pretty much done with what we had prepared. So,
yeah. So I'm going to say right now, if you have a small account, this is my personal suggestion, because Instagram and Facebook are tied together, and we don't know when.
That was your question. Oh,
that was your question. Do you switch your Instagram account to your business account? Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about.
Yay.
It depends what the size of your account is. At this time, Allie, do you want to give me your number of how many you have so I can get an idea of what you're talking about? I would not suggest switching your account to a business account until you have thousands and thousands of followers. The reason for this is that information is not worth it if Instagram decides to change the algorithm, and they change it all the time. And by that, I mean what they did with Facebook. When Facebook introduced pages, I don't know, years ago, your page would get just as much interaction as your personal account. However, because Facebook wanted to get paid and make money, they decided to lower the... Yeah, I would not switch right now. Personally, I wouldn't even promote a post. The rate of Instagram promotions is not that great right now. So I would honestly switch back. And I only say this because I don't know when, and I guarantee you they're going to change this at some point. They did it on Facebook. It could be a year, it could be 2 years. I don't know how long it's going to be. They're going to make business accounts, I would say with 99% certainty they're probably going to, because this is how they make money. They're going to make you pay to promote your posts. So yeah, I wouldn't do it. The change could be tomorrow. We don't know. And they could lock you into it. So if you're a small account without thousands of followers, don't switch. It's not worth it to have that. And I have mine switched, but I have 7,000 followers.
Okay, so I chose to ignore that advice, for better or worse.
Because right now there's no effect to it, but we don't know when that's going to change. And I can tell you it's probably going to change at some point.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you can switch back and forth. I feel like they will give some warning. Don't you think they'll give some warning if they're going to make it so you can't switch back and forth, or they're going to...
I don't think it'll be. I am in some groups where I might get a heads up that it might switch back and forth. Like I said, I'm in some private groups, so I might get a heads up, and I'll tell you, Sarah.
Personally, I use the insights. So if you're not going to use the features of a business account, then I guess it really doesn't matter. But I like to go through and I like to look and see, okay, here's my top posts. Here's the posts that have gotten the most engagement. And then I was shocked. I was looking at it the other day and I noticed that both of my top posts are dinner pictures I posted a long time ago, actually, before I had grown my account this much. And I was like, oh, I guess I need to post more dinner pictures. I need to post more recipes and things like that. Like, those aren't posts I do very often, but they're my most engaged with posts. So the nice thing about the business feature is you can see that, and you can see, what percentage of your people are women, which percentage are men. There's all these stats that you can see with it. If you're not going to use it, then it doesn't make sense yet. but it is a risk. Like they could change it tomorrow and then I can't switch back to personal, and that's a risk that I'm just taking.
If
So
you don't want to take the risk, and I would suggest not, like I said, I don't know when they're going to switch it. When they created the opportunity to make a business account, that was the talk. How soon is this going to Facebook? Where you have to pay to promote everything. And if you are just starting in Beachbody, you don't want to pay to promote everything.
yeah.
There are that app we talked about earlier, that Followers Plus. You can see all those stats on there. So you don't have to have that, even if you do want to get the statistics and all that sort of stuff. So you don't need it. You can, use the app. And I hate to dissuade anybody from it. I'm not trying to be like, I just don't know when they're going to change it. And I guarantee you they are. They're going to at some point.
Yeah.
So, does anybody have any questions? Did I seriously confuse anybody or?
And honestly, don't feel bad if you are confused, because so basically what we are doing today, this is like what we do every day. I come to Ashley with questions and then I choose to either ignore her or take it into consideration. And then we just go back and forth, and like, I will just have her look at my social media all day. I'm like, hey, look at my posts. Are they looking better? You know, look at my hashtags. Are they okay? And we do it every day. And it is so overwhelming, but the good thing is this is recorded, and honestly, just rewatch it, because I'll probably have to watch it myself, because it's so much to take in.
Baby steps. Like I said, first thing, figure out your niche, clean up your account, get rid of dead weight, and know that interaction with other accounts is key. You cannot build your account if you're not interacting with other accounts. Those are probably the basics. And you honestly will grow your account. If you are liking and commenting on other people's stuff, you will grow your account. It will happen, but you have to be doing it massively, or set up Instagram to do it for you. So that's actually probably a lot of our accounts, Kelly, is fitness, food, and home life. This is where knowing what I know about the algorithm and knowing what I need to know or do to be successful as a Beachbody coach, this is where I'm trying to balance out how far I follow not advice, how far I go into, because a lot of this, it's a broad niche. So we might not get the growth that some of the other accounts who are specifically just food might get, but it does work anyway. I started this spring about 2,000 followers, and I have 7,000 now, and I took almost 2 months off. So if you're doing these steps, they will work. It might not be. I'm in a lot of Instagram private social media groups just because I was for my job. And when you do these steps and you're super niche specific, say you're just fitness or you're just food, you're just home life. I was chatting with a guy who he started, I think about 2.5 months ago or 3 or 4 months ago, but not that long ago. And he started at 500, I think, and he's up to, I think, 18,000. Yeah, Sarah, when this is where you need to focus into your niche. It really does make a difference.
It's so hard to figure out what your niche is. Like, it's so hard to figure that out, honestly.
Yeah, and we do as Beachbody coaches have broader niches because we're trying to share our life. However, this information is still relevant and it still works. What are your Instagram accounts? I am the Fit Fierce Wife. It's on the banner. Sarah is Sarah Jane Fitness. It's on the banner if you want to look it up, and you can check out our accounts. So yeah.
Yeah, check us out. I want to get up to 2,000.
Yes, Sarah's goal is 2,000. I am trying to hit 10 to 12 by December, 10 to 12,000. And that's right now. I've taken a step back from super actively growing it because right now I'm working more on engagement. Because by the time I want to get to 10 to 12,000, I want my engagement for that to be, I want like 500 or 600 likes on a photo. I want 40 to 50 comments. I mean, I want a lot of engagement. So if you have, like I said, if you have a big account and you're like, you have 20,000 followers and you are getting, I don't know, 100 likes on a photo, that's terrible. And that actually lowers your goodness score in Instagram's eyes. So that even like sets you back even more. So like I said at the beginning, only 20% of your posts get seen. So yeah, if you're not working on that goodness score and getting more of them seen, I don't even know how many are getting seen. I mean, less than 20, way less than 20. So that, I don't know. I hope we answered questions.
Yeah, we've been on here for a really long time, and we're happy to keep answering your questions. So we'll take.
Does anyone have any other questions?
Otherwise, you can ask in the group, and we're happy to talk to you. Friend us on Facebook, whatever you want to do. We're happy to talk. Obviously, Ashley is definitely the brains behind this operation. I'm just following some of her advice.
Sarah's awesome. She can help you too. So, but it doesn't look like there's any other questions, but I hope we didn't confuse you too much. It is confusing.
Thank you so much for tuning in and keeping us company.
I hope y'all enjoyed it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.